All right, so if you know me, then you know that this topic I'm about to talk about is probably my favorite thing to talk about in game, right? In my opinion, in my experience, this is the crux of game. This is the foundation of game. This is the whole point of game. Your entire game should revolve around this one thing, around this one topic. And honestly, if you get this down, you really need nothing else in game, although I would advise you to go and learn for sure. But when you have this down, like this thing right here is the difference between you going home alone tonight and going home with one or even two baddies. Okay, this is important, which is why I'm calling this the Tension Manifesto. Hell yeah, hell yeah. This is the part of the course where we discuss what I think to be the most important part of the game. Please pay very close attention. We're about to talk in depth about my favorite thing, tension. In order to understand what tension is and why it works so well on women, you have to understand a few things about women first. So you have to understand that women are primarily reactionary creatures. That means on an evolutionary level, on the base level from their very biology, they're creatures that don't really have the confidence to do or even say anything without drawing that confidence from an external source. This is why things like reviews on Amazon products exist. They exist mainly for women because women do more online shopping than men. Statistics, by the way, you can Google all this. The point is, women are not creatures that are sure of anything until and unless they gain some kind of confidence or evidence from an external source, right? This is why it's very easy to change women's mind on stuff. This is why, I don't want to say it like this, but the truth is that women tend to be a little bit more gullible than men. I know, sexist. Oh no, I don't mean to be sexist. I'm just trying to make a point. And the point I'm trying to make here is that women are uncertain creatures, okay? Women are creatures that live primarily in a state of constant uncertainty. They're not really sure of what to do until they gain the confidence to do it. Which is why whenever you see a woman have the confidence to do anything, the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, where did she get the confidence to do or say that from? And if you're in a relationship with that woman, most likely it came from you. I know a lot of guys immediately think, oh, I bet there's another guy in the picture. And yes, sometimes there is, but I guarantee you, if you're the one in a relationship with the woman, that confidence to, in some cases, disrespect you, talk down to you, disregard you, it most likely came from you. There's something in your behavior that's making her feel confident enough to do things like that and think that she can get away with it. Because that's really where it all boils down to. She's not going to do anything unless she has the confirmation of some kind that she can get away with it. All right? So, now that we understand that about women, how does that relate to tension? I'll tell you how. Tension is the very thing that we use to control a woman's level of certainty. All right. So remember what I said. Women are primarily uncertain creatures. They're not sure of most anything. They need to look to their brothers, father, boyfriend. Like I'm telling you, this is real stuff. If you go to any woman and you break down the entirety of her life, her preferences, her choices, her decision making, all that, you will come to find that all she really is on a basic level is the culmination of other people's decision making. All right, she didn't go to that school because she thought that school was cool or she really wanted to be in that school for a reason. She went to that school because she heard from someone that she trusts that that's the school she should go to. All those little preferences she has, all those little passions she has, trust me, if you go through her past, she got them from ex-boyfriends. I've met countless girls that are into fitness and getting a solid physique because their ex-boyfriends were, gym bros. You know what I mean? Hell, we're talking about a creature that doesn't go to the bathroom by themselves. That's how uncertain they are. They don't even catch Ubers by themselves. They don't send text messages without the consultation of their friends. And, they create this little tribunal to bounce ideas off of each other. They're not a touch and go type of creature. They're not a, let me make a decision from my gut type of creature. All right. And it's because of that we can use this thing called tension as sort of like a leash I'm getting real sexist with this one, as sort of like a leash to tug on their decision making, right? Because they're not going to do anything concerning you unless, again, they're sure of it and they're confident of it, and you give them that confidence. That confidence is not going to come from within themselves. It's going to come from them. Men have the ability to draw audacity from within ourselves. Women do not. So, again, tension is how we control a woman's level of certainty. Her level of certainty is directly proportional to the decisions that she's going to make. I'm going to say that again. Her level of certainty is directly proportional to the decision making of the woman. Okay? She's not going to make a decision if she's not sure about it. She is going to make a decision when she has achieved a certain level of certainty around it. So, if you don't want her making decisions that are contrary to you, or decisions that don't benefit you somehow, then it's probably best you learn how to use tension to control that to some degree, okay? All right, so behind me, what I have here is pretty much the ebb and flow of how tension works, right? So at the top, we have creation. In the middle, we have marination. We have release at the bottom. And that's the linear path that tension takes. This is how tension flows from top to bottom. First, you must create the tension. The tension doesn't come out of nowhere for no reason. It must be created. Sometimes it's created by you. Very seldomly will it be created by her if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing and you're not running game correctly, then she's going to be creating the tension most of the time. We'll talk about that later. But if you must know straight up, you're going to be the one creating the tension most of the time. The other times it'll be the environment. Idealistically, almost none of the tension will be created by her. So it'll come from you. It'll be created by you. Then there is a marination period. That's what I like to call a marination period, or a period where you allow the tension to sit properly. You can't just create tension and then go straight to releasing the tension. Even though on a biological level, that is what you will feel like doing, right? A lot of what instant gratification is the relieving of tension, and idealistically doing it way too quickly, right? When you feel hungry, you just immediately want to go to the fridge and eat something. You want to go down to that particular spot you like to get that particular food at to, quench your hunger. Whenever you feel thirsty, you want to grab a water bottle or a soda or whatever you like to drink and quench your thirst. Tension within an interaction with a woman is the exact same way. When tension is created, your natural instinct is to seek resolution quickly. I'm here to tell you, no, don't do that. What you want to do is you want to let the tension sit and boil. You want to leave that bitch on simmer with the lid halfway open. Do you understand me? You want it to marinate. All right? Really let the tension sit. Really let it become thick and tangible. Let it rest in the air almost to the point of awkwardness. You really want to tiptoe the line between tension, as in unbridled sexual tension, and awkwardness. And then just when you hit that moment, then you release. Then you can release it. Here's the key. This is a secret, so write it down. The longer you allow for the tension to sit, the more relief you'll feel when the release happens. Because that's really what we want the release for. It's for the relief that comes with the release. So the longer you allow the tension to sit, the better the release will feel. And let me tell you something. This isn't true for just interactions with women. This is true for every aspect of your life. Now, something very important that you should keep in mind is that I use the word tension, and yes, it is primarily tension, but you might know it as other words. You might know it as the word fear or anxiety or doubt, uncertainty, or a sense of urgency. Some people even say stuff like pressure, right? But all these different things are really just different routes we use to describe tension. It's all the same thing, especially in a woman's body. Anxiety is felt in the exact same way, in the exact same response, in the exact same sequence in a woman's body and mind and spirit as fear, as uncertainty, as doubt, as urgency. That's why you see weird connections in how women feel attraction. There's a reason a woman feels attraction for her boss just as much as she feels attraction for a serial killer. Those two people shouldn't get the same level of attraction, and yet they do. Because although one is powerful figure to her and the other is a dangerous figure to her, both of them share the same thing, which is the ability to induce tension and anxiety in her. I mean, you see this in almost any situation where a woman has to defer to someone's authority. She usually is attracted to that person because power induces tension. Power makes you feel anxious, makes you feel uneasy, makes you feel uncertain, makes you feel fear, referential fear, makes you feel doubtful, right? Gives you a sense of urgency. It's all tension. It is all tension. So whatever word you want to use to understand it, it's all tension. And whatever way you want to use to induce it, it's still going to give you the exact same result, which is creating tension, holding it, and then systematically releasing it. Okay, so check it, right? And this is very key. I need you to write this down somewhere, or as I like to joke around and say, tattoo it to your forehead, because this is really key. This is very key what I'm about to say. And this is what I'm about to say. The removal of certainty is the introduction of tension. I'll say it again. The removal of certainty is the introduction of tension. Anything you do that increases unpredictability and deviates from the script will naturally induce tension and anxiety. In everyone's head, whether we choose to acknowledge this on a conscious level, we all have in our minds a way things should go. A way things should go in general for dating people, for our general day, going to the gym, eating certain foods. We have expectations. And those expectations are what make us feel safer in our minds. If we know what's about to happen, we, for the most part, move with confidence. We don't fear a lot, right? And that's how we can move through life without being paranoid or concerned about too many things at the same time, is that we generally have certainty and just blind faith about things. I remember a few years ago, a mentor asked me, have I ever gone into a plane, like, you're flying around, but before you went and took a seat, did you ever go into the cockpit, knock on the door, and ask the pilot for his, credentials? Like, let me see your aeronautic engineering degree. I've never done it. Most likely you've never done it, right? But imagine we had to move through life being worried about things like that. We probably should be, to be honest. But that would be a burdensome life. That would be a very mentally tasking life to have to worry about all these little things, which is why we just move through life with a lot of faith in a lot of things. One of those things is the general expectations we have for dating. You see a lot of men out there are really into the whole equality thing. They're like, oh, women have to pay. I don't know if you guys have seen this one TikTok challenge of men recording the bill, like the receipt or whatever, not the receipt, just the bill for the meal of a date that they're on with a girl. And it's however X amount of dollars, and they record the bill, and then they record the girl and they ask, are you giving me, some top tonight? Am I going to bust them cheeks? Am I going to do whatever? And if the girl answers yes, they pay for the whole bill. If the girl answers no, they split the check. Where do you think that comes from? That's what we call expectation. And as I'm not one to shame those men or whatever. I'm just gonna say there's a better way to go about doing stuff like that. But in general, that's just a good way to explain what I'm trying to talk about right now. People have expectations for how things should go. Beautiful women especially. And beautiful women especially because beautiful women have had the exact same experience with every guy they've come across. Up until you, that is. And that's kind of the point of this program, is to teach you how to deviate from this line of expectation. And that's what this graph behind me is. This is called the linear line of expectation. This yellow line, from beginning to end, is how things should go in the beautiful woman's mind. Those little branches sticking out is the deviation from the plan. The deviation from the predictability and the certainty that her expectations create. That deviation is you. That deviation is those little pockets of opportunity you now have to create anxiety and tension. Because people get tense when things don't go the way they wanted them to go. Beautiful women especially. Okay? So anything you do that helps you to deviate from her expectations not only help you stick out more in her mind, but also help you to increase tension and anxiety, which in turn helps her feel more attraction for you. All right? So let's take this entire yellow line over here as, say, from the very moment you guys meet down here, this yellow line down here, all the way up here to, say, the end of the first date, right? So right down here, when you guys meet and you're trying to build logistics, there's the talk to her on text messaging, text back and forth a little bit, ask her out on a date, and then hopefully she says yes, and then hopefully she shows up and doesn't flake on you and all that stuff. But before we even get there, how about we do something a little differently than most other guys out there? Like, I don't know, the red line over there, leave her on red. Yeah, leave her on red. I can already hear guys saying the word, oh, that's toxic. I hate when grown men say the word toxic unironically. You are not a 90-pound white woman. You don't have to use words like toxic. That's first. Secondly, it's not toxic. It's just a better strategy to employ. Because the alternative is just be nice and go with the flow, which inevitably puts the entire interaction in her hands. She has all the power to dictate how things will go. I don't want that for you. I want you to dictate how this thing goes from A to Z. So you create little pockets of resistance and deviations from the plan that she already has in her head. Leave her on red. Leaving women on red, especially the beautiful women, works fantastically well. Because guess what? Nobody leaves beautiful women on red. That's the secret to it. Right there. Like, nobody. Trust me, I date beautiful women all the time. Go in their messages. Nobody has the guts to treat her as not as important as themselves. Which is why I get all the beautiful women. Because I do that all the time. There's nothing I do all the time. Going a little further up the list. Show up to the date late. Show up to the date late. Or even better, right up here, a little further up, flake on her completely. This is so key, especially when you're dating really highly attractive, highly desirable, beautiful women. These are not things they expect. These are not the kind of behaviors they expect, which is why you stick out in their mind even more. But more importantly, it really does help for you to demonstrate your value. Because how valuable are you if you treat her like not even important? It's an evolutionary psychology thing. Put it like this. Again, you could go the linear path and just be nice to her, set up a date, show up to the date early. In fact, show up to the date a lot earlier than she does and just be waiting for her 30 minutes before she gets there. And then try to have the most fun date you can have. Or you don't show up to the date. You leave her sitting there. She goes home. She's angry. She's pissed. She's telling all her friends. Hell, she even probably makes a TikTok about you. Oh my God, I can't believe this guy. And then you go, listen. I'm sorry something came up. I apologize. Let me make it up to you. Let's go get drinks at this location, at this different location. A lot of men assume doing that makes you a bad person, or even worse, that women would not respond to that. And you could not be more wrong about this. Women respond excellently well. Like, honestly, it pisses me off how well they respond to this kind of behavior. But they respond with positivity and understanding. I've had girls wait at dates for me for up to an hour and just text me, it's fine if you can't make it. Don't worry, we can always reschedule. Beautiful women. These girls are like 5'10", 5'11". I'm 6'2" myself. So it doesn't make sense on a logical level why a woman would treat you better when you treat her as not as important. But if you think about it from an evolutionary psychology level, it makes perfect sense. And then when you think about it from a social level, it makes even more sense. Evolutionary psychology dictates that women are trying to consolidate on the man that's better than them. And then socially, the kind of guy that will leave her on red and flake on her is just not a guy that she's come across yet. That's the level of validation that she doesn't usually get to chase. So you're special, unique, and you deviate from the norm automatically when you do stuff like this. Here's another thing you can do. Tell her you have to go right in the middle of the date. Show up to the date, kiss her on the cheek, talk for a little bit, look at your watch, 8 minutes into the date and be like, listen, this has been fun, but I gotta go. I'm sorry. This has been fun, but I have to go. And again, what kind of guy would treat her like that? What kind of guy would look at a beautiful woman and choose something or someone else over her? Well, the kind of guy that's selective, the kind of guy that has options, the kind of guy that has higher value. See what I'm saying? It's never a bad thing to be the guy that she goes home to think about and talk about long after the date is done. That's a great thing. That's a great position to be in. So don't be scared. What's the next thing on here? Ooh, this is really good. This is a really good one. This one is kind of nuanced as well. Pay for both meals. Now, it'll shock a lot of people to come to find out that I've paid for, I would say 96, 98% of most first dates I've ever been in my life. Most dates would be more like, well, I don't know where the most dates numbers would be. I'd probably paid for around 50, 60%. But for most first dates, I almost always pay. And only very few reasons can make me not pay. And the reason for this is very simple. Because I show up to the date with a very simple frame that I plant in the woman's mind before we meet up for the date. Which is, and again, I say this in a playful manner, but I say, if this date isn't as fun as it should be for me, I'm splitting the check. I'm not paying for you. So she already knows, she has the understanding that before we even get to the date, she has to make the date fun for me. That is her priority on the date. Do you get it? You see the genius in that? That way, when I do pay for the date, and again, I always do, don't tell them. But when I do eventually pay for the date, I can say something like, you know what? Keep your card. It's fine. Don't worry. I got it. I'll pay. I'll tip. I got it. And what does that do? That validates her. See? So not only did I reserve my validation correctly, I also distributed it correctly afterwards. Paying for the date is actually a great way to do it once you create the proper frame and context around this. I go into heavy detail in this in my course, The Interview. I have an entire course called The Interview. It's a mini course that just goes over how to properly interact with a woman so that you hold the value and she's stuck chasing your validation. So if you want more information about that, just go ahead and click the link in the bio in the description wherever you're seeing this. So, next thing, kiss her on the cheek. This one is really fun for me. Again, what does every beautiful woman expect at the end of a date? Is that as a man, you're going to try to kiss her. You're going to try to get something in. So imagine how different you look, how different you appear when you're the one guy that goes, let me kiss her on the cheek. Or even better, you give her one of those hip away hugs. I call them hip away hugs because you're hugging her with only the top part of your body and you're purposefully sticking your butt out so your hips don't touch, which is a very, very terrible way to hug people, by the way. It just lacks all kind of affection, but that's why it works, because it's a devalidating hug. So you hug and then you give her those 2 or 3 pats in the back like she's an old friend or a tiny little kid that's you're trying to burp, right? So doing anything that indicates slight disinterest, slight disqualifiers here and there of any kind is a great way to deviate from the expectations she already has. Like, she's already trying to see if you want to, do certain things or try certain things with her. So the guy that sticks out in her mind is the guy that isn't trying at all. That's really the key to this. is you don't want to be trying to any capacity. Everything I've told you on this little graph I made you has had the exact same thing to it, which is you're doing the exact opposite of what she expects you to do. Remember what I said at the beginning of this? What did I say in the beginning? If you want to create tension, you must take away predictability. Every turn she's sure of, bring uncertainty into it so that you can create tension properly. Okay? All right. Hopefully you got that. Let's move on. Okay, let me finally land this plane that we've been flying for a bit, called tension. And this is the whole point of tension. Yes, it's used as a way to spark attraction. But more importantly, tension is the best thing we have to use as a kind of a gun to the head of the conversation. That's how I like to put it. Tension is what we use to hold the conversation we have with women ransom until and unless they give us what we want in return. Women are not exactly comfortable when they feel tense around you. And that's a great thing, because then you can create a subtle transaction, an underground, a background trade-off, which is if you don't want to feel as tense as you do in your gut right now, little Miss Lady that I'm dating, all you have to do is pass my compliance test. So this is how it should go. You create tension, you let it sit, marination. She's going to get a little itchy and uncomfortable. She will reach for release so that she can let the tension go. But you keep it. You hold it. That way she now waits for you and your cue and your leadership to release the tension for her. And that's when you hit her with a compliance test. Her going along with you is then the permission you now have to release the tension. That way she associates feeling tense with feeling good. Because guess what? She felt tense, felt a little uncomfortable. You told her to do something for you. She did that for you. And then, boom, you release the tension. In old school pickup, this was called bait, hook, reel, release. I just call it tension creation, marination, and release. So this is how it would go in the form of a conversation. Let's create some tension right now. You're talking to a girl, and then you say something like, damn, you're unusually tan. Is that natural? Boom. Tension. Tension. That's not something she was expecting to be asked, especially not on a date with a guy. She goes, yeah, I spent a lot of time in, I don't know, whatever South American country these girls like to go party at. Then you go, is that so? Give me your hand, let me see. That's a compliance test, by the way. Now, she has two options in that moment. She can decide not to give you her hand, or she can do what she's most likely going to do, which is actually give you her hand. Why? Because she feels tense right now. When we feel tense, the natural human biological response is to seek the relief from that tension. Any opportunity necessary. So when you put your hand forth and go, oh, is that so? Give me your hand. She's going to take it. And you might have a question there like, what if she doesn't? Don't worry. She will. She will. If you do this correctly, she will. In the case where she doesn't, that's fine. Go right back to tension creation. Make it a little more uncomfortable. Ask another question. But in the case where she does, and she will, then you go, oh, okay, look at that. You have a lovely hand. Or you can say something a little less cheesy, like, oh, look at that. The tan isn't fake. I thought for sure you were going to smear my hand with your tan spray or whatever. You both laugh. Tension is relieved. Everything's back to normal. So you create tension with a question. You let it sit there. And she knows you let it sit there because she was feeling a little on edge with the question. You gave her a chance to relieve the tension by putting forth a compliance test of sorts. She passed the compliance test, then you release the tension. Right? And you can just do that over and over and over again throughout a date. That's really how this is how you should be communicating with women. Women you're seeing for the first time, women you've been dating for a while, women you're married to. You should always be looking to give them these tiny little bits of, like, what I called them before? Mini heart attacks. Give women these mini heart attacks. But then don't immediately seek for their resolution. A lot of guys tease well, but are too scared to let it sit, so they immediately go to, I'm just playing. Don't do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. Make sure you're building the tension and letting it sit. And don't release it until you give her an opportunity to do what you want and she actually does it. Until then, let it sit. And you're the man. Don't worry. You can sit in tension a lot longer than she can. It's perfect. All right? So that's pretty much it for tension. I hope you guys enjoyed the talk. I hope you guys actually got some value out of this and some useful information that you can go and start trying to use right now. Information that you can begin to practice on and all that. All right? Take care. See you in the next part. I'm glad that you're enjoying the course so far. I think it's safe to say that I'm adding value to you with this course, because otherwise you wouldn't have made it this far in, right? So I'm glad I'm giving you valuable information. But to be completely honest, a lot of this information is going to be completely useless to you. And the reason for that is very simple. Information, no matter how valuable, is ultimately useless if you can't execute on it properly. And the honest to God truth is, most people just don't execute. In my personal experience, there are two major reasons for that happening. The first is the less common, but honestly most well-known reason, which is that most people are just lazy and unmotivated. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that's the case here. If you ask me, it's obvious you're not lazy or unmotivated. Because if you really were, you wouldn't have made it this far into the course. Which means more than likely, it's the second reason we're probably dealing with here. The second reason most people don't execute on good information that is not as well known but is the more common issue is a lack of self-belief. You see, there's a crucial step most people skip between absorbing good information and executing on it. And that step is actually having the audacity to execute on that practical information. You've probably not noticed it till now, but a lot of the time, the reason you don't go out to do something you truly want to do is because you haven't hit a certain level of faith, of audacity, of true self-belief. Without it, it is almost impossible to achieve any level of success or anything of substance, especially within your social life. But don't worry, your boy got you. I have a solution to this. I've made an entire mini course that goes over the concept of self-belief. But not just self-belief as a concept, but the actual actionable process that you have to go through step by step to acquire high levels of audacity. In this mini course, we go over everything related to self-belief. Where it comes from, how to get it, how to improve on it, how to preserve it over time, and even the daily habits and exercises that you need to start doing right now to see the kind of results you want to see in your daily life as a result of an improvement in your self-belief. Not only do I have bonus clips in there about the winner mindset and breaking rapport, but within the course is my personal email address to contact me directly. All you have to do is send me all the details of your current situation, and I will send directly to your email a personalized action plan, specifically designed for you with your specific situation in mind. That's right, email coaching from yours truly for free. And I really want to make this clear. This is not going to be some kind of a bot or AI or even assistance. This is coming from me directly. No one else can replicate the 8+ years of experience that I have. And I'm going to be using all 8 years of that experience for you specifically. Now, like I've said, this is going to be me personally replying these emails. So I want you to keep two things in mind. One, sorry for the typos in advance. I'm a fast thinker and a slow typer. It's bound to happen. But two, more importantly, I am but one man. And there's absolutely no way I can respond to every single email request that I get. So the logical next step is to put a cap on it. This free email coaching offer only holds up for the first 50 people that buy the mini course. With how detailed I like to be with each email coaching session, yeah, 50 is about as much as I can humanly do. I want to help you where you're struggling right now. And I want to help you to the best of my ability so you can actually see results. I can't do that effectively if I have too much on my plate. So there it is. The self-belief mini course, 2 bonus clips, and free email coaching to the first 50 people that click the link below in my description. I cannot wait to work with you, and I'll see you on the other side.